You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go. It's episode 14 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Andrew Yagi, and I'm a real estate agent.
Hi, I'm Kayla Calendar, and I'm a mortgage lender.
Kayla, how is your week going this week?
Well, it's a short week so that's kind of a blessing and a curse, but so far so good. It's weather's hot in Fargo. What's it like where you're at?
Yeah, it's hot. It's hot here as well. Summer happened all of a sudden, it feels like.
It feels like overnight it happened, and I think a lot of people are wishing, that they had bought houses with pools at this point because of the humidity. It's so hot, but I'm here for it. I'm here for summer.
How was your holiday weekend?
Fabulous. So good. We had great weather, friends, family at the lake, enjoyable, relaxing, all the things. So how about you? How was yours?
Yeah, it was really good and honestly really low key. Had, some nice family time this past weekend. And yeah, it was just really, really great. So I've got nothing to complain about.
You need those kind of chill weekends when you're such an extrovert during the week,
Right, absolutely. And especially, we're just all kind of grind, and I'm really, more aware of it than ever. Having three young kids, and it just even my wife says sometimes, like, just during the week, you see your kids for an hour in the morning, and then maybe a couple of quality hours in the evening, and it just time flies so quick.
It does. They say when you have kids, the days go slow, but the years go fast. Is that true?
I think it is. Is it the same with dogs?
Yes, so the same. But, well, actually, every day's fast with them because they're just the cutest, most snuggly things in the world. So,
No doubt.
And they don't talk back.
Absolutely. Kayla, what are you seeing, in the mortgage world this week in terms of rates or, what's going on?
Last week we saw interest rates pick up a little bit, and they're down a smidge today. So around 6.95 is the national average for a 30-year fixed. So last week I was seeing 7.12. So to give you an idea, it's not that rates are up and down and up and down. They're pretty stable, but we're just seeing kind of that roller coaster, like the tiny roller coaster at the park effect. So, and as you can see, a 15-year is not insanely cheaper. A lot of people think, well, a 15-year, I bet will be in the fives or the fours. No, I mean, it's about a half difference. So
sure,
rates are a little better today. I'm still seeing lack of inventory, but in turn, I'm seeing more people lean towards building then because of that inventory issue. So that's what I'm seeing in my market. But what are you witnessing?
Yeah, so I've started hearing people talk a little bit more about rates again. In fact, on some of the properties that I have listed for sale, we've had some really good activity, and I would still tell people, who are looking to sell, that if a house is very desirable and it's properly priced, there really is not going to be, a lot of trouble moving it, and we're still seeing multiple offers. In a lot of instances. But, as we get into some of the smaller markets, I'm starting in some of those smaller markets where we still have desirable properties, starting to see at least people use rates as an excuse to kind of squeeze them, which, it makes me wonder as well on the buying side, as far as the agent they're working with, is the agent taking time, to educate them, and are they shopping in the proper price range? Because, I have a number of buyers that come through my door or come through, one of our funnels or reach out to me, and they want to look at properties at the very top of their price range.
Yeah.
And in some instances that works out just fine. However, if it's a really desirable property, they're probably not going to have a chance on that particular house because it's probably going to be competitive. It's going to go over asking. And again, we want to set our clients up for success. So
you're exactly right. And that is one of the things that I've witnessed too is clients will shop at the very tippy top of their budget, right? So they don't have that room to be flexible. And
Yeah.
in turn, they're likely maybe even asking for seller paid closing costs. And so it's in a way exhausting for clients and probably realtors and lenders too when you're shopping at the top all the time because you feel like you're let down, especially if we're seeing houses go over asking. Are you seeing that lately
Yeah,
yourself?
absolutely. Absolutely. It's a huge reality. So, and I think sometimes, I mean, obviously, we have to kind of be that guiding light and that your voice of reason, but sometimes you have to let a client fail once too.
Yeah.
Just there are some people that are so insistent and and don't want to take your advice. So sometimes, they have to experience a letdown in order to kind of gain an understanding, so to
Mhm.
speak.
I've had some clients say that they're glad that they had a failure right away or two because it allowed them for when that next house came, they were ready. They knew what they wanted to do, they knew what they couldn't do, and that allowed them to in a sense fail forward.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yep. Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kayla, today I want to talk a little bit about, and we talk about rates a lot and everyone complaining
Yes.
about rates and using that as an excuse. And so just the other day, I saw this reel on Instagram.
You
You
did.
you've maybe seen it too. Maybe,
Oh,
but
maybe. I
but
don't
but
know.
just talks about, again, sometimes we get so caught up in talking about either, to our clients or even the
Yeah.
clients in general get caught up just talking about the financial piece. But realistically, there are a lot of other reasons outside of
Mhm.
financial reasons why people are buying versus renting. And so I'm going to
Mhm.
share. I'm going to just share this reel really quick, and you've maybe seen it,
I
but
think I have.
Easy, ready, willing, overtime. Where does it stop? Where do you dare me to draw the line?
so there you go. So there are a lot of reasons.
Great
Uh,
tips. She knows
yeah,
her stuff.
she does know her stuff, but yeah. So like talking about getting a pet to expand their family. So just yesterday, one of the closings that I had, Kayla,
Yeah.
was for a family that, hey, they had their first child, and
Yeah.
they said, hey, we are in just a small starter home. We want to grow our family. We need space, and that really hit home for me because I remember being, in that space about 5 years ago or whatever, and yeah, all of a sudden here I am needing something larger for my family. And so it really hit home with that particular family.
And I think a lot of people they do get caught up, and rightfully so, because you don't want to be house poor. You don't want to be spending money on something that is not worth it to you. But for me, sometimes I take a step back and I look at the things that people spend money on. Really expensive cars, vacations, clothes, food. All these things, right? Which that's life. People spend money, but when you think about your home and the oasis and where you spend probably a really large portion of your life, I made that real because I had really started thinking and talking to more clients, and the clients that were really like committed, it wasn't that, yes, the interest rates were a concern, but they said, Kayla, I just want a place of my own. My landlord keeps raising my rent. We've had expanding families. I've had people say, I have a German Shepherd and I just feel terrible having him in an apartment. To I'm finally ready to put a nail in the wall and paint. And so it got me thinking about just all these different reasons that are not financial, because we can talk about that all day, but in the end, it's going to come from you and in your heart. Is it worth it? Do you know what I mean? And, I think about how my husband he has to get a new truck. And he's like, maybe I don't need a truck. Trucks are more expensive. And we talked, and it's like, no, we need the truck for this, this, this. So I would encourage people that are thinking, is it worth it? To maybe also think about those non-financial reasons too.
Yeah.
Happiness, peace of mind. You know what I mean? Because there's plenty of reasons.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's the fun piece because again, Kayla, you and I are kind of in this realm because we're driven individuals who have huge goals ourselves, but we
Yep.
also like to help people get to their goals. I had another closing here recently. Some good friends of mine that I've been friends with for better than a decade. Got to know them through church. I did music, for their wedding. I've been there, for some of their family members when they've had loss, when I worked in funeral service.
Yeah.
And we've been really, really close. So it's really fun as I kind of helped them as they've worked really, really hard and we're in more of a starter home for quite a while. And
Mhm.
both have tremendous jobs, have worked really, really hard. And finally got to the point where they for themselves were looking for their forever home, so to help them get into that forever home, and then now to help them with the sale of kind of their beginning home. It's really kind of an honor and really fun,
Yeah,
and again also gratifying, and of course the financial piece certainly does enter the equation
of
and
course.
is an important consideration, but it's fun to really dig into some of these individuals, and
Mhm.
especially ones that look past that financial piece and really talk about their dreams and kind of where they want to be and what they want.
Mhm. Well, and even, I don't know if you help a lot of people that are moving to your city or away, but I found that I've been working with a lot of physicians. So not just those that are coming to Fargo, but those that are moving. And last week, I helped clients move to Arizona. And so for them, interest rates, yes, they're important, but they were so focused on we need to find the right neighborhood for our children. And so that was fun to be part of, is to run numbers on these homes, and then we closed and they are now so happy. I don't even think they remember the interest rate that they locked in. Again, it's important. Finances are important. That's not, we're not, trying to say they're not, but it's really cool to see clients follow their dreams. They moved because they had opportunities. And so I just think it's really cool to see that piece that's not just financial.
So I know you provide really good service to your clients, Kayla. Do you happen to jet down to Arizona for the weekend to attend the closing down there and check things
So
out?
funny story, actually, I had another closing in January and I was this close to flying down there because I'd been working with the client for years, but I didn't. I do send them closing gifts though. I'm
Sure.
sure I do that, but maybe one day I can hire my buddy Andy Yagi to fly me out there with his plane.
Maybe if we collaborate on something that would
I
be,
mean,
be
we could do the It's Real podcast from the plane too.
we we certainly could, and we probably should take it on the road at some point.
We probably should. We'll do it around the lakes area next
Yeah,
time.
I like that. So, Kayla, I want to shift our conversation because, of
Mhm,
course, it's good to talk about the buy side and some of the reasons why people buy. But, the other thing that, we want to talk about as well is why people sell.
right.
I saw kind of in an online real estate group the other day. I mean, it's no secret, and we talk about it, that inventory as a whole nationwide
Mhm,
is down about 30%. And there are a lot of
yeah,
starving agents and lenders out there. And I saw an agent just comment, hey, what are you doing to get business? Because the only reason why people are selling right now are death,
yeah,
divorce,
yep,
or relocating for work.
right,
And if you don't have any of those leads, what are you doing? And realistically, there are a lot of happy reasons why people are selling. They're getting that advancement. I'm working with a physician right now myself, where they're just starting out as a practitioner and coming to our area, and again, really an honor to be able to kind of
yeah,
be that trusted local expert, to kind of help them and educate them on the community, on the different neighborhoods, and help them get to their goal, and just kind of take that layer of stress away, so they know that they can rest easy, that when they get here in a couple of months, they're going to have a place to go. Um,
yeah,
what else do you see? And I know you work with more buyers, but of
yeah.
course, you see the other side, and you learn a
Mhm.
little bit. You have to have some experience with some sellers as well.
Yeah, for me, what I see lately, especially, it's you're spot on, Andy. It's usually I don't want to say forced, but it's a life decision. Something's happening in their lives. For me, I see people just relocating for opportunities. That's what I'm seeing a lot of. So, for instance, in the last probably month, I've had physicians and dentists that have been moving back. So they'll go do their residency somewhere and then they will move back to their hometown. So that's what I'm seeing the bulk of is, hey, we want to go home to where we grew up and where our families are. So
Mhm.
I'm seeing a lot of that. So that's a decision, but it's also a lot of opportunities. In terms of selling, I've seen some divorces. I've seen, although we talked last time, divorces are down nationally, and that probably could be because people don't want to sell and get rid of their low rate. Who knows? But I've seen a few divorces. And so that's been a situation where there's a house, it gets sold, and then those two individuals are typically buying their own homes.
Right.
So that's essentially the bulk of what I'm seeing.
Yep, yep. So you deal with probably more happy than and sad circumstances. It sounds like, but yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of both, and working with a couple of estates right now. Where there's been a death in the
Yeah.
family, and a death of someone that I've had a relationship with, and now being called on, and which still is a really great honor. Kayla, I helped. We don't see much, and this is probably a good additional discussion point.
Mhm.
We just with how hot the market's been, we don't really see a lot for short sales or foreclosures. And luckily right now that with low inventory, usually we're able to avoid that, but sometimes we can't. I've been working with a particular client for a number of months, and they had some financial difficulty and ended up we were able to avoid foreclosure, but did go through the short sale process and finally got them to their goal and able to really help them kind of start their life over again. So that was, a really awesome piece for me this week too. Just, again, just, regardless of circumstance, because, life happens, but fun to help people get to their goals.
Do you find, you have a very broad, like such a variety of things you've done in your life, from where you went to school, from farming to real estate to funeral homes. Do you find that, I don't see a lot of those sellers because of death. I don't see that because a lot of times it's, goes to an estate, it's done with, they're not buying. But do you find that that has allowed you more connections? Because if people are handling, funeral services, things that are so emotional to you, I'm guessing that you're getting a lot of individuals coming to you asking for help with the sale of their home because you've already created that trust. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, people want to work with people they know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
And I'll give you just one quick story. A family that I've worked with, and basically 3 years ago, dad calls, and he's in
Mhm.
his 90s and says, "Come over to my house. I want to talk to you." And so I go over and visit. I go and I knock on the door, and I open the door, and his family's sitting around, his kids and spouses. I'm like, "Oh, hello." He said, "Take a seat over there. I want you to meet my kids and their spouses. And this is Andrew. And when I die, I want you to sell my house. He's gonna be in charge of selling the
Oh my
house."
gosh.
And so I met them all, and fast forward now 3 years later, he
Mhm.
passed away, and
Oh.
I'm working with them on selling the house. And so really again an honor. Like
Yeah.
just the gratitude and just the feeling of fulfillment I get from helping people, at a difficult time,
Mhm.
such as that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all about relationships, Kayla, and
Mhm.
that's what I really love, and that's what I'm building my business off of.
Mhm. I love that. That's awesome. And it's so much more emotion than people imagine until they get into it, until they're all of a sudden in contract, or they're selling their home and they're thinking, my goodness, this is where we had all these memories. And it becomes really emotional. It's bittersweet sometimes. And having a team member, a lender, a realtor, whomever it may be, that actually is, empathetic, also makes a huge difference.
Right, right, absolutely. Kayla, I feel like we've been pretty deep on with some of our discussion, which is good. I mean, it's good to
I,
to share emotion and everything. But maybe I want to end our podcast today with a little humor. I take part online in a number of real estate groups. I'm sure you do too.
yes.
And I saw floating around online. Did you see any of these memes?
Just
Where
ghosted.
Yeah, where it talks about if realtors posted what really happens in real estate, and I get a kick out of all of these because I think people would not believe some of the experiences that we have, and even that you have in lending. So I wanted to share a few of these. And so this talks about being just ghosted as an agent. The buyer I was working with just stopped communicating And they did go under contract with another agent on a home I emailed them.
Yep.
It's Zillowed where we have this happen a lot, and I hear from other agents, if a buyer can't get a hold of their agent and they want to see a house right now, they're reaching out to another agent on Zillow.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
and where it talks about being almost sold. We were 5 days away from closing, and I just found out the underwriter cannot approve my buyer's loan. But it's fine. They're blaming me for it and filing a complaint on me. Why? Why not? Just hate it on. Another agent that lives in my neighborhood is telling the neighbors I underprice homes because she thinks everyone should list with her. And guess what? Some of them actually believe that the market doesn't dictate pricing, and their home is in the exact same condition.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just lied about an upset customer, wrote a Google review on me, and lied about everything. Google doesn't care if it's a lie. They refuse to delete it, but it's fine. It's just my
reputation. Yeah. I'm not a realtor, but I can tell you that is extremely similar to things that I've witnessed as a lender. And we just always lean towards, me personally, I do this. I don't like to bring any negativity to my online posts. However, so you always see kind of like the good, but the things that we do on the back end and the things that we witness and we take personally too sometimes. I know it's business. A lot of that has some truth to it.
Yeah, I've just really learned through all of this, and I probably said it before, but after working in funeral service for 15 years, I thought that it would be easier in real estate, and at times it's more challenging. I mean, the emotions in experience in real estate are just unbelievable, and I think the thing that I've learned, Kayla, is you just have to give people grace. Sometimes you have to let people vent to you, and just kind of have to be kind of that calm and just kind of that voice of reason, and that's really all you can do.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's sometimes they might be the only, you might be the only person that they're talking to that actually understands it. So you just have to be kind of a therapist in a sense and let them talk and listen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, Kayla, it's been great catching up with you again and, kind of talking about these various topics. Look forward to visiting with you again next week. But have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the weekend.
I will if you will.
See you, Kayla.
Bye.